Welcome to another episode of your favorite libertarian. Today we're going to be talking about the Holosun 512C. Hey there, boys and girls. This is the part of the video where we have disclaimers. Talk about what was free to me, what I paid for myself, etc. So the first thing we'll go over is this t-shirt. This t-shirt was given to me. I tried to buy it, but they would not let me. I said, hey, I love what you guys are doing. I support your company. I want to be able to rep your brand once you guys have t-shirts available. And instead of letting me know when they were available for purchase, they just sent one to me, which I was super grateful for. I tried to give them money, but they wouldn't take it. So I ended up just buying other stuff on their website. But southpawdraw.shop, I will say, just on a t-shirt level, not a brand level or anything like that, this is the most comfortable shirt that I own, and it's the best fitting shirt that I own. So if you're looking for a t-shirt, if you don't even buy anything else, you just want a nice t-shirt, you should go to southpawdraw.shop. But if you want any of the myriad of accessories and gear that they have, and you want it shipped fast and you want excellent customer service, then I would recommend going to southpawdraw.shop. There's affiliate links below. I should also note that they specialize in left-handed accessories, hence the name Southpaw Draw, which is super cool. So for all my lefties out there, we gotcha. As far as this optic goes, this was given to me by no one. I bought this with my own money, and I'm super glad that I did. If you are looking for, I guess you would say, validation that you made the right choice, I can not only give you 2 thumbs holding a box up, but I will also give you 2 thumbs holding an upper with it installed up. Good job, person watching this video that already bought it. If you haven't though, these are also available on southpawdraw.shop's website. So check them out. Use the affiliate link. It just lets them know that I sent you. I don't get any kickback. Just want to support these guys because they're awesome. Now, the 512C. I don't know why I did that with my hands. Let's talk about it. I'm going to go over the specs on this, also the modes of operation, which will be pretty in-depth. There's a lot you can do with those 2 buttons. And then I'll even compare this to the 509T, which I also have a review on. This is the long gun version, the full-size version, I guess you could say. The 509T is for handguns. So if you really like how this is all set up, modes of operation, it's going to be pretty much identical if you're going to the 509T. So check that out, but there'll be a little comparison on this and that. And then I'll do kind of an unboxing. There's not much left in this box. It's already on that upper, but we'll talk about what comes in the box. And I will do a long-term impressions portion, I guess you could say, on the video, because I've owned this for quite a while, and I'll tell you what I think are categories that this really shines in, and why you might want to purchase this based on your use cases. So no further ado, put this on a table and talk about it. All right, for all my people who are into specs, we'll go through those real quick and kind of talk about my take on what I like about these particular specs. It's got the enclosed design, which I really like because Holosun also makes open emitter designs of these, and the worry that I've always had is if dirt or blood or water or whatever gets in the way of that emitter, it's either going to distort the emitter or it's going to make it so you can't see it at all. So that enclosed design I really like. The battery life is pretty great too. It's got 50,000 hours if you are just using the dot, and 20,000 hours, which is still like 2 years, 3 years if you're using the circle and dot. And then as far as the different reticle options, you've got your 2 MOA dot, a 65 MOA circle, or both. It's got the solar failsafe, which is cool, and the shake away technology, which I really like. That helps conserve battery life considerably. The memory function for the brightness setting is great because it means whatever setting you have it on for brightness, if you're in manual mode, it'll automatically go back to that setting when it's shook awake. And you have 10 daylight settings and 2 night vision brightness settings for all you dudes and dudettes running nods out there. There's a quick release battery tray, which I guess is cool. I don't think it's really needed with the amount of battery life that you have. It's very unlikely that you're going to need to switch out a battery in a life or death situation, but I guess it's good that you don't need a tool for that. And then it's an IP67 rating and it's parallax free. So all good things. Specs portion over. Let's open the box. All right, let's see what's in the box. Opening the box. Opening the box. All right, here we go. Oh, see, the foam is supposed to stay in there. There's foam here usually. There we go. You've got your owner's manual, which actually has really good illustrations, not just of the site itself, but of the side of someone's face. So that's good. Got a snack if you get hungry while you're unboxing. And a little microfiber cloth for wiping the lenses. And then in here normally is a tool that has a star head on one end and then a flat head on the other. The flat head is for adjusting windage and elevation. And then, there you go. And then the other side is for tightening this down. So that's what comes in the box along with your battery. Let's talk about buttons, shall we? The first thing you're going to need to do to be able to do any of these options that we're going to go through is turn it on. So to do that, you need to press and hold the minus button or press and hold the plus button, and that'll turn the emitter on, and you'll be able to cycle through all the operational modes, sleep timer modes, and change your reticle options. By default, you're going to be in auto mode. So there's two main operational modes. There's auto mode and manual mode. Auto mode is using the ambient lighting sensed by the solar panels up top to determine how bright or dim the reticle is going to be based on ambient lighting situations. If there's not enough ambient lighting, it will automatically switch to manual mode, and to adjust brightness settings from there, it's just the plus and minus buttons. If you want to go from auto mode to manual mode, you'll press and hold the plus button for 3 seconds until the reticle blinks, and that'll let you know that you are in manual mode. Once you're in manual mode, pretty straightforward how to adjust the brightness settings. The plus and minus buttons are going to do that for you, from your 10 daylight options to the 2 night vision options. Lastly, you have a kind of a third operational mode as far as the manual is concerned, but I consider it kind of a minor mode, which would be sleep timer. And the sleep timer, in order to get into that, you press and hold the plus button for 10 seconds, and that will get you into the sleep timer mode. There's 4 settings that you can have for the sleep timer mode. There's, by default, 10 minutes, 1 hour mode, 12-hour mode, and there's the never mode, which means this will never shut off the emitter to save battery life, regardless how long it's been inactive. That's what that shake awake technology is. It's determining after a certain amount of time to shut off the emitter to save battery life, and then once it moves again, then it will turn that emitter back on, and it'll remember the settings that you have for brightness and for your reticle. If you want to adjust the settings for the sleep timer, plus and minus buttons are going to do that for you. If the emitter blinks once, then that means you're in 10-minute mode. If it blinks twice, you're in 1 hour mode. If it blinks 3 times, you are in 12-hour mode. And if it blinks 4 times, you are in never mode. And you've completely disabled the sleep timer. That's how you use the sleep timer settings. To get out of that, you would just press and hold the minus and the plus button until the reticle blinks, and that'll put you back in auto mode. And then you can cycle between auto mode and manual mode by pressing and holding the plus button for 3 seconds, and it'll blink and let you know which mode you're in for that. Another way you can just double check to see what mode you're in is put your hand over the entire optic and the solar panel and then see if it gets brighter or darker. If it gets brighter or darker from you doing that, you're in auto mode. If it doesn't, you're in manual mode. The last thing I'll show you how to do with these buttons is changing your reticle. So if you hold the minus button down for 3 seconds, the reticle will blink, and as it blinks, it'll change the reticle. From the factory, it is at the circle and dot. Press and hold this again for 3 seconds. It'll blink to the dot itself, and press and hold for 3 more seconds, and it'll blink to the circle itself. And so there is the dot and the circle. There's the dot. The dot's probably the blurriest in this viewfinder for some reason, but it doesn't look like this in real life. It's super crisp. And there is the circle only. And there you have it. Those are the 3 options. The last thing I'll let you know as kind of a bonus feature is it has a low battery setting. The low battery setting is nice because it's not a little light anywhere here that blinks or anything. It's actually the reticle itself. So when you're looking through the reticle, if it blinks every 2 seconds, that means your battery's low. And if you haven't changed your battery in the last 5 or 6 years, now would be a good time. So that's everything with these buttons. We'll go ahead and bring in the 509T now so you can see how that stacks up to this and a little bit of a comparison. This is not a comparison video, but if it was, this would be the size comparison between my 509T and my 512C. This is the 512C. As you can see, battery trays are in the same exact spot. The windage adjustment is in the same exact spot. Similarly to the adjustment for elevation, and the controls for brightness and all the settings are also in the same exact spot. So if you're familiar with this already, you'll be familiar with this. Only change you should really notice, besides the size of the reticles, are that you have less reticle options with this. This one you have the 3, you have the dot itself, the dot and the circle, or just the circle without the dot. This one is dot or dot with the circle. So just a quick comparison. As you can see, they're a little different in size. That's essentially butt to butt, and it's not even all the way down. So if this was actually on a rail, it'd be down to here. So you can see it's a lot smaller. If you're doing a lightweight build and you want to put this on a rifle and get a riser, you could have it be co-witness with iron sights or higher if you want. But that's just to give you an idea of the size difference and where all the controls would be in relation to the 512C. Before we get into the long-term impressions of this optic, I want to perform kind of a PSA. We talked about the auto mode and we talked about the manual mode. I would advise against using the auto mode in some situations. For daytime shooting, I think it's great. If you've got rapidly changing lighting situations, you're in the shade, you're not in the shade, it's cloudy, it's not cloudy, this is great because you don't have to mess with these buttons all day when you're shooting at the range. It'll automatically adjust, and it's going to save a ton of battery life because it's going to be running off of solar power as opposed to the battery itself. So it's great in that application. Where I would advise against doing that is if you are using this at all at night, and especially at night with a white light. So remember how it determines how bright this emitter is going to be. You've got your ambient lighting right in this area. If you are in the dark and you need to turn your light on to see what you're shooting at, which I would recommend, it's going to be very bright over there where the target is. But the ambient lighting around here is not going to be as bright. So you might run into a situation where you have a very bright target that you're pointing at, and what you're looking at through this glass is super bright, but the reticle is very dim, and that is not a recipe for success. So if you are going to run this at night for any type of nighttime applications, I would recommend putting this on manual mode. And what I'd also recommend would be to turn your light on in the dark, figure out the manual brightness setting that makes the most sense and looks the best and easiest to pick up in that lighting situation, and then turn your light off in the dark and see if that brightness is too bright with the light off. And then once you find that sweet spot, that's what you set it at. I would recommend the 10-minute shake awake setting to conserve battery life when it's sitting by the bedside or wherever you have it ready to go. And that's what I would recommend for this particular setup. What I would recommend if you're doing anything close quarters is that EO textile reticle, but without the dot. Now, if you're super familiar with EOTex, leave the dot there. It's going to take a little bit more of your battery life, but if you're more comfortable with it, more power to you. I chose to remove the dot and have it just be the ring, because with a 50 yard zero, 7 yards and in, you can use that bottom notch as point of aim, point of impact in those close distances. And I don't know about you, but I'm not rich. I don't have a mansion where I have super, super long hallways. So for me, for the structures that I would be familiar with and operating in, I would want to be able to just use that point aim, point of impact for that bottom tick and not have the dot in the middle and be too busy and kind of distract me. And with the dot added, you can still make further shots without any issues. 50 yards, 100 yards, etc. There's a lot of information on the EO textile reticle and holdovers at different distances with that ring and the tick, so good to go there. Just do your research on that. But that's how I would recommend setting it up. I'll have an entire video on this upper and the lower that goes with it, but for right now we're just talking about the optic, and now we'll get into long-term impressions. I purchased this right about the time that the 512T came out, which is the titanium version. It came out, it was like a year after SHOT Show when it was supposed to be available. I waited a little bit longer, and then I just decided to get the 512C. And I'm really glad that I did, because there's a lot that it has going for it. It's got that big eye box. It has the multiple reticle options. It's got the shake awake technology. It's got an awesome battery life, so you can just keep it on and not worry about it, and it'll shut off when you're not using it. It's got the solar backup, which is great. It's got a lot of really nice settings. I'd steer clear of a couple that we talked about, but bottom line is you have a ton of options, whether you choose to use them or not, which is great. For the price compared to the other things out there that have similar reticles, and the battery life on this, it's pretty hard to beat. So I would recommend purchasing this optic. I've owned it for years and it holds zero. It hasn't flickered on me or anything, and it just is good to go. I don't have to worry about this optic. I just have to worry about me not sucking. Thus concludes the review of the 512C by Holosun. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos. And as always, stay free,